Cassidy and Ambie and Crystal, the board game blitzers, showing your favorite games.
My number 50 is Concept, which is a party game where you're trying to get people to guess a word by putting tokens on this board that has a lot of different pictures on it. And you're just trying to get them to guess the word by guessing the concept of the word. We actually haven't played with the scoring. There's scoring, but we usually just play where one person's doing the clues and everyone else is guessing, and we just play until we want to stop. We've played it a lot at conventions late at night when everyone's tired, but it's really fun because there's a board of pictures and there's pictures like of a person or of places or animals, and then different colors and different shapes, and you're trying to put tokens on the different things to try to link them together and get someone to think of something. And there's also different colors of tokens that you can do, so you can say that something's a sub-concept, so it's related to only that part of the concept. And there's some difficult words, like each card has 9 different words that you can choose from. They range from easy to hard, and some of them are long phrases. So it's really fun playing it and trying to get people to guess your word and trying to guess the words. So that's Concept, my number 50. My number 49 is Mysterium, which I actually played the Polish version first, and I don't know the version of the English rules, but it's a cooperative board game where one person is a ghost and they're trying to communicate to other people to tell them who murdered them. And the way you communicate is through these cards that are different pictures, like dream-like pictures, and you give them to the players. And the players have a bunch of cards saying like different possible suspects and different possible murder weapons, and based on what cards you give them, they're trying to guess which of the murder suspects and weapons are assigned to them. So the cards that you get, you only get a hand of 6 or 7 cards as the one person, and so you're trying to use what you have to get the closest to get the other people to guess their things. And each person has their own things that they're trying to guess, but you can work together and the people that are guessing can discuss it among each other. So I have a lot of fun with Mysterium, both being the ghost and being the other players, just trying to get into the mind of what was the person thinking when they played this card and why did they give me these clues, and it's really fun. So that's why Mysterium is my number 49. My number 48 is Stuffed Fables, which is a cooperative board game where you're all playing as little stuffed animals trying to go through adventures and protect your owner, a little girl, while she's dreaming from all the nightmares and stuff that happen. So it's a dungeon crawling game, I guess. So each player plays as a different stuffed animal character, and you draw dice from a bag, and the dice are what actions you can do. So you roll the dice, and different colored dice can do different actions, and then a higher number does a better thing. But some actions you can do with any dice. So you can always do something on your turn, and there's a great story that goes along with it. The board is in a storybook. So you open the page to the book, you read through a story, and then there's a board on there, and you go through it, and then depending on what happens, you go to different places in the storybook. So each chapter has different endings, depending on how well you do at the beginning. And it's a really great story. We've been playing it with our friend and his daughter, so it's a really good children's game. Like, it's a heavier game for children, but it's also really fun playing as an adult because the story is so good and the gameplay is fun and the minis are really cute. And that's why Stuffed Fables is my number 48. My number 47 is Azul, which is a game where you're trying to build up a mosaic of tiles. Each round there are different piles of tiles in the middle of the table, and you take all of one color of a tile in one pile, and then the other ones go into the middle. And when you take tiles, you want to fill up rows on your board in order to get them to move to spaces on your mosaic, and depending on how you fill that up, you get different amounts of points. But the game can be pretty cutthroat because you can take tiles that other people need or force them to take tiles that they can't put on their board, and then they get negative points for it. So that's really fun and tense, just trying to strategize which tiles you need to take, because at the end of the round, all the tiles need to be taken, so you could get stuck with something really bad for you. I still haven't played it 2-player, which I've heard is probably the most cutthroat because you're just taking each other's tiles, which would be fun. But I do want to try it 2 players. So I really enjoy the planning for building your mosaic and the cutthroatness of taking the tiles you need and planning ahead to make sure that you can get the tiles you need while your opponents can't get the tiles they need. So that's why Azul is my number 47. My number 46 is Brew Crafters, which is a game where you're brewing beer. Players each have their own breweries, and you're getting new buildings in your breweries, you're getting a bunch of workers, and you're doing different actions with those workers in order to do all of the steps to make beer and get points. It's really neat. There's a lot of steps to make the beer, and I think it's pretty thematic, even though I don't know much about different types of beer or brewing beer. But you have to get different ingredients, and there's even special ingredients like fruit where you can make fruit beers with them. And there's a bunch of different recipes, and you go through different steps to brew the beer. Each game, there's different beers available, and if you brew and sell the beer first, you get like a special gold label on the beer. And the more expensive beers are worth more, but they're also a lot harder to brew. So you can do different strategies of brewing just a lot of cheap beer or being a specialty brewer and brewing the expensive high quality beer. And they both are ways to get a lot of points. So I really like Brew Crafters because of how the theme goes well with it. And it's a fun game. My number 45 is Codenames Duet, which is a 2-player game. If you've played Codenames, it's like that, but 2 players and cooperative. So in Codenames, there's a grid of 25 words, and one person is giving a clue of 1 word and 1 number, and they're trying to link the number of cards together with that clue to get the other people to guess the words. And there's only a certain number of the 25 words that are assigned to you, and some of them are bad and will make you automatically lose if they pick it. So in Codenames Duet, each player has words assigned to them and bad words assigned to them, and they're each giving clues to the other player back and forth. So it's the same grid, and some of the words overlap, but they're trying to guess all of the words that are assigned to both of them before 9 turns runs out, I think. I like the original Codenames too, but this has an interesting twist with the both players giving the clues and the overlap of the clues, which I think is really neat. And that's why Codenames Duet is my number 45. My number 44 is Crosstalk, which is another word guessing game. And this one's a team game where each team has a person who has a word and they give a secret clue to their teammates. And the rest of the round, they're giving public clues that both teams see. But when your team gives the public clue, that's when the other team gets to guess it. So you're trying to give a clue that your team might know, but that's not too specific for the other team. And so it helps when you give a secret clue that goes with your public clue, but your public clue is more vague than the secret clue. So sometimes the clues are too vague and no one can guess it, or sometimes if you get the same secret clue and both clue givers are thinking the same way, it's really easy to guess. But it's really fun trying to think of good clues that are vague enough but not too vague for your own team, and it's also really fun trying to guess the words. So that's Crosstalk. My number 43 is Hanabi, which is a cooperative card game. I have the deluxe version, which has tiles instead of cards, but it's the same game otherwise. In Hanabi, you're trying to play sets of cards in order from 1 to 5, and there's different colors, and they're making up rows of fireworks. So on your turn, you can play a card or discard a card or give a clue. And the catch is you can't see your own card. You're holding them outwards. So if you're playing a card blindly, you don't know what card it is. But you can give clues to other players because you can see all of their cards. And you have to tell them either a number or a color in all of the cards in their hand that are that number or color. It's fun because sometimes there are times when someone gives a clue and you're not really sure why they gave you that clue. But then if you think a little more about what cards other people have, you're looking around, and then you can figure out from that, oh, maybe they gave me the clue because of this reason, because they want me to play it or they want me to hold on to it or something else. So it's a lot of mind games in giving the clues and trying to determine why someone would give a clue to you like that and what you want to do with that information. So that's why I like Hanabi. My number 42 is 1830, Railways and Robber Barons. This is one of the first 18xx games made. And 18xx games are economic games that are usually train themed, where you buy shares of different corporations, and whoever has the most shares is president and can run that corporation. So you lay track down, you can run trains, buy trains, and get money, and then you can choose what to do with that money. You either pay out dividends to shareholders, or you can withhold it and make the company better. But you can also sell shares, and companies change hands a lot. So like, your money is not the same as the company's money, and you're trying to get the most money for yourself. So I really like 1830 because there's a lot of stock manipulation that can happen in the game, and also when you buy new trains, old trains become obsolete and die, which is bad for the companies because they always need to have a train. So that's called a train rush, when a bunch of trains get bought, and that happens a lot in 1830, or in our games of 1830, which puts a lot of pressure on people because they have to buy trains and they can go bankrupt. So I really like the pressure of that and all the manipulations you can do with the stocks, because it gets really crazy with people just trying to come out on top. And 1830 also has some harsh track lays that you have to plan ahead, because there are only so many tiles, and some of the tiles never upgrade. So a lot of tiles can upgrade into different things, but there are some that you have to plan from the beginning because they'll never change once you lay them down. So there are times where I've really hurt someone by laying down one of those tiles, and then they couldn't use it at all. So it can be very harsh, but it's a really fun game. And that's why 1830 is my number 42. My number 41 is The Grizzled, which is a cooperative card game about the Great War. And you're a group of soldiers just trying to survive in the trenches. And there's no fighting, but there's missions that you're going on, and you're basically trying to make sure you don't die or become too emotionally disturbed in order to survive through all of the missions. So there's a deck of cards, and each card has different threats on it. And you're trying to go through that whole deck of cards in the game in order to win. So each round you have some cards in your hand and you have to play them. And if there's 3 of one threat on the board at a time, then you lose that mission. So you play cards until you can't anymore, and then you have to withdraw. So it gives you a feeling of needing to survive, and it's really difficult. But you can also give support to your friends after you withdraw with the support tokens. And each person has a support token they give to someone, but it's secret who they're giving it to, and whoever gets the most gets a bonus. So there's some collaboration of trying to get the support to someone without being able to communicate who you're giving it to. And since you can't talk about what's in your hand too, you have to play cards but also be mindful of how other people are doing, because you don't want to make them have too many cards in their hand or get hurt. So it's a very cooperative game where you're having to be mindful of everyone around you, and that's why I like The Grizzled.